speaks volumes. It's the story of Amadou Diallo. But many people will pronounce it as Diallo. Correct pronunciation is Diallo. It's an original Fulani name. Proper pronunciation is Diallo, but we all say Diallo. Amadou Diallo was a Fulani boy. Oh my God, give me strength to be able to tell this story. It's going to last 10 minutes and we'll be done. Here we go. Hey. Today we are telling you the story of Amadou Diallo. Amadou Diallo, my brother, my sister. Oh my God. He was born in Liberia, even though his mother and father were both Guineans. In fact, they came all the way from Guinea, from the tops of the Futajalon Mountains and beyond. They were a family that believed in very hard work. When many Fulanis take care of cows, moving from one place to the other, you can take the cow out of the Fulani, but you can never take normal sheep from out of the Fulani. The Fulani, the average Fulani, is a nomad. In other words, he moves from place to place with his cows. You can take his cows, but you cannot take the nomad life from out of him. And Amadou Diallo's parents demonstrated this in equal measure. My brother, my sister, Amadou Diallo was not born in Guinea. His father was working in Liberia when he was born. His father and mother had 4 children in all. But he was the only one who was born outside Guinea. He was born in Liberia when his father took a job in that beautiful country of Liberia. So he decided to move with his wife, and together they found themselves in Liberia working. His father was called Saiko Diallo, and his mother was called Kadiatu Diallo. So Mr. and Mrs. Diallo decided to leave the Futajalon Mountains, moved all the way down and went all the way to Liberia to pick up a new job. And whilst they were working, bam, she got pregnant and gave birth, my brother, my sister, to this beautiful boy. Amadou Diallo was born right there inside Liberia, specifically in Sinoe County, S-I-N-O-E, Sinoe County in Liberia. In fact, on the day of my birth, I was only 1 year old when Diallo was born. That is why this story is so emotional to me. He was born on the 2nd of September, 1975. And you will remember Blakk Rasta was born on Monday, the 2nd of September, 1974. Lennox Lewis was also born on the same day, 2nd September. My brother, my sister, Kwame Nkrumah was born in the same month. The best people were born in September. My brother, my sister, Amadou Diallo was born on my birthday in 1975 in Sinoe County, right there in Liberia. And when he was born, he was light-skinned, just like most Fulanis. Light-skinned like his father. Oh, but his face looked so much like his mother. And his mother was so proud of this child. He moved like his father, but his face was his mother's face. Right from when he was born, there was a big celebration. Even though they were in Liberia, they got 2 cows for the very first time to celebrate the birth of this child. And when the cows were slaughtered, there was a heavy dinner for all Fulanis in Liberia who attended this wonderful ceremony and danced to a lot of Fulani music right there in Liberia. My brother, my sister, a new child had been born. The father continued to work there. Now, when the contract was over, they moved to Togo. From Togo, they went to Singapore. From Singapore, they went all the way to Thailand. It was there Amadou Diallo tasted Asian life and decided that he wanted to live outside Africa. He followed some members of his family to New York in America. And when he arrived in America and saw the huge buildings and the skyscrapers, he told himself, Wallahi Allah, this is where I want to be. But he was told by his friends he had to get an immigration lawyer to be able to deal with this situation because he was an illegal immigrant. From that month ending, his visa would expire. My God have mercy. So the lawyer told him, okay, this is what you can do, this is what you can do. And he decided to say that he was a refugee coming all the way from Mauritania, and that his father and mother had been killed in a war in Mauritania. Nouakchott, to be very specific, the capital of Mauritania. When he made this legally known to the American people, they decided to give him a certain kind of relief to stay in America. My brother, my sister, this was how he was able to stay in America on political asylum application. Even though he told a lot of lies, he said he was from Mauritania when he actually was from Guinea. He told them that his mother and father were killed in the war, and he knew that his father and mother were still alive when he got his papers. In fact, and then he filled out the application forms and gave out the application forms. He was still waiting for the application, in fact, to be accepted. This is his beautiful mother. And when you look at the face of this woman, you see the face of Amadou Diallo, as I was telling you. This is Kadiatou Diallo, and this is the face of his father, Seiko Diallo, my brother, my sister. So which one of the faces is the face of Amadou Diallo? Certainly the face of his mother, Kadiatou Diallo. My God, she loved this boy. She will kiss the boy from afternoon all the way through the night. She will sit down and be watching the boy. Oh my God. And interestingly, the boy took a big liking to reggae music. He loved to hear the Kuchoko rhythm and dance to the Kuchoko rhythm every now and then. My brother, my sister, see what happened now. He filed for political asylum. My brother, my sister, and whilst it was still under investigation, at least he was in America working. How was he working? He was on the streets of America selling pure Moncore, aka all-time videotapes. You remember those videotapes? Find me a photograph of pure Moncore. Those all videotapes that we used to push into our video decks. In fact, to watch our favorite movies. My brother, my sister, that was what he was selling on the streets of America, video cassettes. He was also selling gloves during the winter. And then he was also selling heavy socks, you know, socks. And today is World Sock Day. When we're talking about socks and the importance of socks, he was selling socks on the sidewalk along the 14th Street of New York, my brother, my sister. And during the evening, he will just rest, waiting till the morning when he would go out there and start selling his wares. Amadou Diallo.
Yabo.
Amadou Diallo. Oh my God. If only he knew. My brother, my sister, in the early morning of February 4, 2 days before the birthday of Bob Marley, in 1999, our hero Amadou Diallo was 23 years old and a few months. He had just eaten some food and he came out to stand in front of his apartment just to stretch his arm. Yeah, something like that. My brother, my sister, that was what he was doing. And then he saw a white car approach him. There were 4 people inside there. In fact, they were plainclothes police. So this is a photograph of the videotape, the all-time videotape, which Ghanaians nicknamed Pure Moncore. This is in no, it's not a stranger to Ghanaians. My brother, my sister, we don't use it anymore, but we remember Pure Moncore. Some of us still have it in our homes to show to our children when they grow up. My brother, my sister, this is the story of Amadou Diallo.
Yabo.
On the 4th day of February, while standing along the 14th Street and looking left, right, he had just walked out of his apartment, standing in front of the apartment and stretching himself after a heavy meal. My brother, my sister, when he came out standing there, it was around 12:40, just past midnight, 40 minutes past midnight. My brother, my sister, interesting things. Past midnight, he had finished work, come home, eating his food, and come out there to stretch his arms. When a white car approached him, there were 4 men in the car. He realized that they were holding guns, but they didn't look like police, but they were actually police in plain clothes. The police were looking for a serial rapist, and the photograph they had looked like that of Amadou Diallo. And when they approached him, they asked him to stop. Unfortunately, this is a Fulani boy who doesn't speak English too well. Unfortunately, this is a Fulani boy who has just filed for political asylum. Unfortunately, this is a Fulani boy who is scared that, listen, if I get arrested by the American people, they might send me back to Africa, and I don't want to go to Africa, at least not now. In fact, he quickly looked at the people. He didn't even know they were police, but he realized that they were holding guns, and he decided that these were armed robbers ready to shoot and kill him. So the first thing he did was to put his hand in his jacket to make sure that the wallet, the sales for the day, the money he had for the day was at least intact. He held his wallet in his jacket, and the police thought that he was pulling out a gun. And immediately, the first policeman shot at him. Now, when the bullet hit this thing, in fact, this thing there, the bullet hit it and ricocheted. You understand what that means? It hit it and hit back. So the policeman who shot it, the bullet hits him back and he fell on the ground. Now the other policemen, seeing that one of their friends had fallen down, thought that Amadou Diallo actually pulled a pistol from out of his pocket and he fired. And they fired him 49 times. Even when he was down, they kept shooting at him 49 solid times. And that was the policeman who first shot at Amadou Diallo. The newspapers had it all over. The New York Post had it. The Daily News had it. This was the policeman who pulled the first trigger. My brother, my sister, the bullet hit the side of a window pane and ricocheted. Oh my God. And boom, he fell down. They shot him 49 times. My brother, this was what happened. Take a listen.
This is 3FM.
This was when he was standing by the roadside. And the police started coming.
Police department, in New York. Sir. Police department. Sir. Stop, don't move. Let me see your hand. Police department, city of New York. Sir, don't move, sir. Police department, city of New York.
Early this morning, 22-year-old Amadou Diallo was shot 41 times by police officers Edward McMillan, Sean Carroll, Kenneth Boss, and Richard Murphy. The officers claimed they believed Diallo was drawing a gun, but in reality, he was only taking out his wallet.
41 shots.
On February 4th, 1999 at 12:40 a.m., Guinean immigrant Amadou Diallo was standing in front of his house on Wheeler Avenue in New York. He had just returned from a meal. Diallo was a street peddler who had lived in New York for 2 years. He came from a village in Guinea called Le Luma and moved to New York after several of his relatives had gone to America. Diallo came to New York to study but had not enrolled in school. Neighbors described Diallo as hardworking and shy. He would never smoke or drink and had never been in any trouble with police. Amadou Diallo was 22 years old. Police officers Sean Carroll, Edward McMillan, Kenneth Boss, and Richard Murphy were out patrolling the area in a Ford Taurus. They were not in uniform. The officers were members of the Street Crimes Unit and were armed with 9mm semi-automatic service pistols. They saw Diallo standing outside his building and believed he fit the description of a serial rapist they were looking for. The officers stopped the car, got out, and approached Diallo. According to the officers, they identified themselves clearly as police officers and ordered him to show his hands. Diallo backed up in the vestibule and reached into his jacket pocket. Officer Sean Carroll saw Diallo take out a square black object and believed it was a gun, and yelled "gun" to warn the other men. The 4 officers opened fire on Diallo. Edward McMillan tripped backwards down the stairs, which caused the other officers to believe that he had been shot by Diallo. They continued to fire. In total, the officers fired 41 shots at Diallo, 19 of which hit him. When the officers went up to inspect the body, they realized Diallo had no weapon on him. They found only a wallet, which he had been taking out of his pocket, and a pager.
Well, is it a gun? Is it a...
Amadou Diallo. It was said that 49 bullets were shot, but they only found 41 bullets. My brother, my sister, right there. But witnesses said they could count up to as many as 49 different shots. It meant that at least they fired 10 bullets each at one man, 4 of the policemen. Amadou Diallo was shot. And when he went down, they were still shooting, only for them to search him later and realize that there was no gun on him. What they thought was a gun was only a wallet with his daily sales in there. Only $70. Amadou Diallo. At the time, they thought he was 22 years, but he was actually 23. Amadou Diallo had gone down the drain. Oh, his mother cried over and over. In fact, she didn't know what to do with herself. In an interview, she made it clear.
Amadou Diallo! Amadou Diallo! Hello, everyone. My name is Kadiatou Diallo, Amadou Diallo mom. On February 4th, 1999, my son was gunned down in his own vestibule. Okay. That event shook the world, the entire world in New York City. Since then, 15 years later, we demanded justice. We marched, we protested. Thousands and thousands of New Yorkers got arrested, protested. Why? Because it was wrong, because we don't want that to be happening again. Yet 15 years later, we have many, many victims that have fallen in the hands of those who are supposed to protect and serve.
This is 3FM.
This is Kadiatou Diallo talking. 15 years after Amadou Diallo had been shot and killed. The policemen were set free. It was said that they were doing their job. But years later, Kadiatou Diallo and her husband decided to go and file a lawsuit against the police department of New York, NYPD. They demanded 61 million American dollars for the wrongful killing of Amadou Diallo. But they got 3 million American dollars, the biggest amount of money ever paid for the killing of one person in the history of New York. 3 million they got for the killing of this wonderful Amadou Diallo. She granted an interview and she spoke. At the time, she couldn't even speak English too good. Listen to her.
We have the Eric Garner case. We have Mohammed Ba case.
both of whom, one of the case, Eric Garner case, was worldwide focused with the media. Everyone knows about it. But some silent victims will also fall into the hands of the NYPD in New York City. Example, Mohammed Ba from Guinea, like us, and his mom called 911 and the police descended and just killed him. Eric Garner, everybody's have seen the video. In 1995, when this march was about to be conducted here in Washington, D.C., my son was in Singapore studying, and his passion and vision was to come to the United States and get American degree. And with his dreams, he came here working hard to save money for college, and he was killed. How many victims will have to be like Amadou, like Eric Garner, Sean Bell, and the list goes on, Ferguson, Mike Brown. We met, all of us. We are about to have a big connection with just the families to understand that we will not survive by ourselves. We have to help each other. Each family have individual effort that they are doing. Like for me, I created the Amadou Diallo Foundation, giving scholarship to African students, and also advocating for racial healing in police and community relations. And I know my brother here also been involved in this very nice organization, because each one of us have to do what we need to do in order to improve the condition of our human family. Black life matters. All life matters.
This is 3FM.
Amadou Diallo speaking. My brother, my sister, she learned how to speak English in America. She spoke her heart out. This is Kadiatu talking. My brother, my sister. Oh. She spoke against murder, police brutality, and much more. But one man who made the issue go viral musically and performed it everywhere he went, Wyclef Jean.
Have you ever been shot?
Been shot 41 times. Have you ever died so you could live again? Or have you lived so you could die again? Have you ever screamed yet nobody heard you? Diallo, Diallo. Diallo, Diallo. Diallo, Diallo. Diallo, Diallo. They said the murder was an error. Have you ever been shot 41 times? And have you ever screamed and nobody heard? Diallo, Diallo. Diallo, Diallo. They said the murder was an error. Diallo, Diallo. The mother cried.
Those who are thinking about taking their guns and killing innocent people, including police officers, as the mother of Amadou Diallo, who suffered a terrible loss, many people would have think that I have hatred and desire for revenge. But in my heart, I have no hatred, and I have no desire for vengeance. So I want to send a message to them that you can take your anger and your frustration, turn it into something positive. For those who are thinking about turning their anger into something violent, they need to think. If we, as survivors of victims of police brutality, can heal and ask the city to heal and come together and do something positive, this is the message I'm sending not only to Mayor de Blasio, but everyone.
This is 3FM.
The mother of Amadou Diallo, Amadou Diallo. My brother, my sister, he went down. And he was the child who looked so much like the mother. The father couldn't speak English. So she was the one who spoke. Diallo, Diallo. Diallo, Diallo. Diallo, Diallo. Diallo, Diallo. Diallo, Diallo. They said the murder was an error. Diallo, Diallo. In the burden of knowledge, I ask you, now that you know, what would you do? BNN yo le mini yo ba fe yan zunda ka gane me zaka yine. Ye papango bokaya nun fifi ya nyandu kai na wo. Bana ehu ebe den lele yan jima singa be kunne. Lele yan jima singa be ri. If he had lived, today he would have been 48 years old. Oh, minu be ko wate. Ebe se minu be ko Amadou Diallo. Missy, yeah, Missy, Fami Kowate, yeah, Minubako, Missy Minubako, Wate, Amadou Diallo, Missy Famiko. Diallo, Diallo.
Tutu Bobby, Papa Mula Homeo, Mama.